Okay, we are alive and well, and giving a little teaching today. I am not going to be focusing on Trump. Yeah, it's pretty much done and over with. What happens to him will happen to him. He's no longer president. He will never be president again, and whatever happens will happen. But there's more important things to deal with. This is a spiritual planet in the process of awakening. It has a great deal of, within it, all of it, is suffering from imperil, from witches and warlocks that are standing up right now for the creed of darkness. And they live in a state of suffering in order to create suffering. It's not necessarily a choice. It's a law that they live by. And because of that law, they suffer from a lack of harmony. They suffer from conflict. Yeah. And they live in the delusion of harmony through conflict. They live in the delusion that it's better to go to war and sacrifice in order to get what you think you're supposed to get out of it. That's harmony through conflict in a really dumb, stupid way. Yeah. But it's the common human characteristic. Yeah, it's what military people think, and it's what people who rule other people, it's what bankers think when they take away your house. It's what people do. It's the nature. And that nature comes from warlocks and witches. It does not come from you. Yeah. And these warlocks and witches are in the process of having a very bad life right now. They're suffering in the greatest way they'll ever imagine. They're suffering from inability to cope with life. They're committing suicide left and right. They're starving themselves to death. They're committing ceremonies of unrighteousness toward humanity because they hate humanity. And they think that they're being persecuted. And they're not. They're the persecutor. Yeah. And I'm here. And they have no idea how I work. No one does. I am a complete mystery. All my initiations, all my teachings, everything is a mystery. It's way beyond your wildest imagination. Yet it's right in front of you. Everything is right in front of you. God created everything. Yeah? But you can't see it because you're missing the temple. You're missing the fact that there are people who are supposed to be spiritual on this earth and not witches and warlocks. They're not supposed to be here. Yeah? Their process of being here subjects other people to being witches and warlocks by nature. Yeah? They express those natures, those incredible, really bad depression, a lack of ability to relate to themselves or other people, to lack of discern, the response to be habitual and not be able to lift yourself up through change and opportunity, the ability to see the opportunity and let go and be a better person, change yourself from what you're in, because you. I'm not saying you as in everybody. I'm mainly talking to those who are causing this suffering. And right now, they're in the worst of suffering. Just like Trump. Yeah. There isn't a warlock, there isn't a witch on earth that isn't going to hell right now. And you can't save them. You can watch it. And you can listen to me. And you can realize this is where they're at. This is what they're doing. And you don't go, oh, you're a demon, you deserve it. You can't do that. But at least you can have enough understanding to know that we are in a war. And Jesus Christ is here. And I'm stepping out. I'm coming out. Yeah. I'm making myself known. There are going to be books and shit written about my present life as it is right now. And how it affects the world. Yeah. And how major people who are not of the Dark Lodge would love to have a conversation with me. Would love to be blessed and to learn what it is I have to say. Because what I have to say is not what you expect at all. I have everything already set up. Yeah. I'm in charge, have been in charge, never been a day that I'm not in charge. And I set everything up as though I'm in charge. Every tree you see, I put there. Yeah. Every bird that flies by you, I make it fly by you. Yeah. I give it life. I externalize it. I give all these relationships that you look as life. Yeah. That's your temple. That's the activity within the temple. Yeah. And it's beautiful. Yeah. And it's based on sacred geomancy. And you can't get that. Yeah. Because the Dark Lodge doesn't tell you that this place is sacred. Doesn't tell you that everything science, mathematics, and everything that is based on God. Yeah, you go down to this false prophet thing, and they say, oh, you just look at one little bitty book. Yeah. But in one book, if you study that one book, you'll find out it'll lead you to the temple. It'll lead you to God. It'll lead you to Jesus Christ. Yeah. And you still have to come across what it is he's got to say. What's he doing here? What is God doing with this earth when we have war and death and all the things from witches and warlocks that do what they do, all under the free will that God gives everybody? Yeah. So that's the key. This is all about free will. And witches and warlocks do not believe you deserve free will. They're cult leaders. They will not believe in Buddha. They will not believe in Jesus Christ. They will only believe in their nature of past reality, that they're dug in. Yeah? Yeah, whether it be a Muslim or a Hebrew or a Catholic who believes that it all goes back to Peter, they're digging into bullshit. Yeah? And they're rooted in that crap. And it was a lie then, and it's a lie now. And it's so old. There's so many roots for this delusion, for all these false prophets to externalize through. And they're holding down nations. They're holding down people. They're holding down the races of black people. They're holding down every living thing. Yeah. They're holding down people. They're holding down because we have all kinds of races. We have 7 races. And what if those races happen to be a sacred thing? What if they're a sacred thing? The reason why they're different races. It's a thing. Something God created. It's your mystery, but not to God. Yeah. Yeah. 7 continents. It's a thing, people. A God thing. God created it, maintained it, and you don't understand it. Yeah? Oh, you're French. Oh, you're Japanese. Oh, you're Chinese. You're from this continent or that continent, and you're so separate and so different. You know, you don't understand the working out of a plan, the making of a world through opportunities. Yeah. And Christ and all the relationships of the avatar, whether it be India or America, yeah, imagine, yeah, you have prophets being led by God to do something they can't see. Yeah. They don't know when they navigate and they're wanting to go to America or wanting to go to the Indies. You know, they don't show up in the Indies. Yeah, they show up in Florida. Yeah, they show up in Cuba. That's actually where Columbus went. He didn't come to America. He went to Cuba. He landed on Cuba. He named all of Cuba after his own hometown and the villages that were nearby. And he's not from Spain. Yeah. unless you have the Holy Spirit, unless you're part of Jesus Christ, unless you're not influenced by wizards and warlocks who are going to tell you lies and delude you, about history, about your present condition, about your present sciences, about your present political situation, about your present ecological situation, all these things. You got witches and warlocks saying one thing, and you got people trying to figure it out. And the witches and warlocks don't care about you. That's their thing. They only care about being a witch and a warlock, and their cult, and their ancient history, their religious ancient history as the shaman, and how they have control over elements and power that comes from that. And they can't stop thinking that way, even though they do not have power. It's been completely taken away. There's hardly anybody walking this earth today that has any more power in the Dark Lodge. They're slowly but surely being taken away. Because their glamours can't be veiled, their corruption can't be veiled. Their process is something that we're becoming aware of. And it's something that can't be covered up. And it's only covered up because it's a cult. When you get into it, you find out surrounding it in the center is a cult leader, and the people have signed either an agreement or a contract to where they can't say anything about the cult leader. And they have to only agree with the cult leader, or they're fired or subjected to humiliation, and their life is destroyed, like Scientology. Like most religions. And it's not that they're bad. It's just that it's wrong. It's wrong. It's a symptom of wrongness. We're a sick society. We're a sick situation. And that's due to warlocks and witches. Warlocks and witches, they keep you from the initiations. They make you stupid. They keep you from initiations. They provide you false initiations because they're false prophets. So they're gonna say, "Oh, you should study astrology. What is your sign?" Everybody knows their sign. Everybody knows their mother's sign, their children's sign, their friend's sign. You got to know your sign before you marry someone. Back in the 70s, there's just no way. You had to go to an astrologer. And then you went to a channeler to see whether or not you were soulmates. You go to a guru to see whether or not they can find you a mate. All witches and warlocks messing with you. Taking away choices. Taking away the opportunities that come with Christ. Because Christ is making mysterious opportunities that you can't figure out. It's like Christ makes the electric car. And this is 20 years before you ever even think about an electric car. But the seed is planted and you're going to reap. That's how Christ works. He plants the seeds. And they turn out to become opportunities. And then more and more, slowly but surely, take those opportunities and start learning about energetic medicine, solar technology, ecology, geology, anthropology, sociology, all kinds of things that help us uncover the truth. When we've only been told lies. Imagine 30-foot tall people. 30-foot tall people. 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you would know 30-foot tall people. You'd know them. They're giants. They're mean. Really, 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 really mean. Of all the animals, the human giants are the worst. Yeah? They eat everything. People. Things. Yeah? They're ravenous. Yeah? They wipe out villages. They scare the crap out of you. You have to sacrifice people to feed them. You have to grow animals to feed them. Or they're just going to come and take it. You know? It's not like they're going to sit down, you know, and become king of the land. They don't have to. They already are. It's true. Yeah, that's the truth. You just don't know. Only 1,000 years ago, this was normal. This was real. Yeah? But you have no books that tell you this. How's that possible? How's it possible? You have no books. Yeah. Skulls as big as people. Skulls. Hands as big as an average child. Hands. Yeah. It really existed. Yeah. And they slowly but surely got wiped out because they were so demonic. So scary. It's even in the Bible. You know, David slayed a giant, the evilest son of a gun you'd ever come across. Yeah. It was horrible. The anxiety beyond belief to have giants around that'll just, you know, you can't talk to them, you can't negotiate, you can't do anything. You just have to be afraid because spontaneously they take and they kill and they destroy and wipe out. They can wipe your house out in 1 minute. Yeah. They carry great big sticks as clubs. Yeah. I mean, these are the truths. This is a real thing that we've lived with, you know, 1,000 years ago. And that was wiped away. And it was through the Christ, yeah, the influence of helping people. Get rid of this shit. You know, wipe them away. Because they were reincarnated giants. Yeah. Very evil forces on the planet. Yeah. And when they die, they come back. But they come back as ego, as pride, as delusions of grandeur. Because they just think that this is automatic. They rule this place. Everybody's afraid of them. Yeah. Everything they say is, you better follow it, you know. Because it's just not about, you know, having a league of people following you. Yeah. The giant is so big. There's no way to knock them down. There's no way to destroy them. Yeah. So that was our life up to about 1,000 years ago. You can see it in the Bible. Yeah. And yet, the archaeologists, the anthropologists, the politicians, the priests, all these people that you put your time and energy into has wiped away what has been found. And then lied to you. They didn't tell you there were temples all over America. They didn't tell you that. They just wiped them away. Yeah? They didn't tell you that there was 30-foot tall people inside the mounds. They just pulled them out and threw them away or hid them. Destroyed them. Because there was no museum with giants in it. And yet they were so many. They were even recorded in the Bible. And that wasn't like, you know, 1,000,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. Just a couple thousand years ago. During the time of David. You know, so we really do have circumstances going on that are being veiled from us. Keeping us from knowing that this is a spiritual war, a spiritual relationship between God and this planet. Yeah. And this planet has witches and warlocks. And those giants were fallen angels who took relationship to women. And the children that they had out of that were monsters. Enormous monsters, demonic spirits that walk the earth. And we can't get rid of them. Because reincarnation happens here in this temple. This is a temple of reincarnation. Yeah. It's nothing else. It's what it is. Every living soul comes back to this earth. You know, if it wasn't like that, look at all the planets out there. You know? And boop, you die, boop, you're on some other freaking planet. You know? That's not the way it works. This is not a chaos theory. Yeah. This is an organized plan built within a temple. We live in a temple. We have a sanctuary. We are safer here than any place else in the galaxies. Yeah. Because this is God's home. Yeah. And God built this place to build his home. God comes here, lives here, all the time. Yeah. But the warlocks, the fallen angels, yeah, the demons, they exist. Yeah. And it's in the Bible. It tells you all about it in the Bible. You know. But when you read the Bible, you know, these false prophets, they go, wow, you know, this and that. They don't really express that this is really a major process for God. And this is about fallen angels. Yeah. And the externalization process coming of the avatar or the Messiah. Yeah. So what happens when the Messiah comes? Yeah. How's it going to change anything? Yeah. You might expect, well, he'll touch me, or he'll give me blessed water, or, you know, he'll create a church and he'll start anointing, initiates. You know, then we'll then go out and anoint everybody else because it's like the Catholic Church, or, you know, something like that. That's not how it works. You know, it may be the way you think it might work, but it's not how I work. It's not how God works. This has been going on since the beginning of time. God's not changing his plan, you know, altering it to the way in which false prophets do it. Yeah. Because this is oriented in order to bring people out of darkness. Yeah. Bring people out. Yeah. So there's a very specific process that is initiated and created and maintained that creates this outcome. Yeah. And how we get to the outcome that I'm talking about, the place in which all these demons, yeah, all these fallen angels, yeah, all these witches and warlocks that exist today, yeah, we just don't really know that they exist. But yet we look at Trump and we go, what, all those characters, all the things he said, all the things he did, you know, and the way in which his children are, you know, they're without conscience, they're without anything that would be something of caring or giving, you know. They're extremely rich, but they give nothing. They do nothing for anybody. And they get away with it as though they're just going to be born and live out their life and then die, you know. And, you know, they're meant to do this. They're not. They're not. Yeah. They're not meant to incarnate. They're not meant to do this. They're not meant to live this way. They're not meant to be here. They're not meant to be here. Yeah. And that's what's going on. The door that allowed this process to take place happened by fallen angels. A big door opened up. And that was because those fallen angels competed with God and said, what you're doing, we could do better. Yeah, you're just creating a temple. Yeah, you're just manifesting energy, 7 rays. Yeah, you're creating initiations out of one singular avatar, and you expect that to work and not express through every living thing which they would believe it works that way. But in reality, it worked from Godhead and not demigods. Yeah. But their consciousness was, they wanted to be God. They knew God. They heard God. God said his plan. He spoke of the rays. He said he's going to build a temple. He explained everything about that temple. And that was all done in heaven. So we can actually see this in the Bible. We can see the temple. We can see the mathematics. We can see everything out of that. Yeah. But we're not taught that. We're not taught that in a church. Yeah. We're not taught it by Buddhists or by Hebrews or by anybody. Yeah. You really have to research it. You really have to, it has to become a revelation. Yeah. And you have to really get rid of a whole lot of stuff. So here's a process. This situation in God, in creating life, it was done by manifesting the orientation of the earth, orientation of everything. Yeah, everything works out of God's thought form. God's thought form is love. It's a real thing. Yeah. And since it is love, it is contained within itself. Love does that. Yeah. Love is a phi ratio. Love is an energetic principle of truth. Yeah. And it meets within itself. It starts in the center and it goes all the way around and it meets within itself geometrically. All the way around. And all geometric forms and time and space and everything is taken up in God's thought form. A single thought form. And that's love. Just love. Yeah. So you can't learn about God. You can do all you want to try and figure out what God wants you to do and what we're supposed to do next and how it's supposed to work. Yeah. And all really God is doing is creating love. Creating love. Yeah. But everything around you and everybody else is intellectual. You got to figure it out. You got to know something. Yeah. But God's busy creating love. So Buddhism applies to God. Be good. Be kind. Be gentle. Be silent. Yeah. Listen. Observe. Yeah? Raise everything up in sentiency, knowing that this is what you're doing because you're not thinking negative. Yeah? You're not having a negative reaction. All these things come from a Buddha nature that's built inside of us. Yeah? Automatically built inside of us. It's not a religion. It's built inside of us. Yeah? But it's there because of the phi ratio. It's there. Yeah? And as we change our ways, yeah, go outside of this left-hand spin. Go outside of shamans who practice negativity. And here, if you go into Buddhism, especially Tibetan Buddhism, as Padmasambhava, I established the right-hand spin. Yeah, I called it Lamaism. Yeah, and what that meant was that here I am Lama. I am Lama. Yeah, that means I am a disciple to God. Yeah. And I could see all the different manifestations of God in a lot of different levels, all the way up to Vajradhara, all the way up to the manifestation of God. And I could see it as a divine reality, a divine form. Yeah. So I see the phi ratio, I see the hand, I see the finger, I see the eyes, I see everything. I see the bird, I see the tree. Yeah. So then I focus on a mandala, and I focus on a stupa, and I focus on all these things of the scientific methodology of applying the same nature and bless it by the mind reflecting only to the simple nature of God. Yeah? That it's geometric. That it applies a divine plan that moves us forward. That we're not just in an empty space. That we're actually actively moving in goodwill in action. Yeah? But it happens by people who change their left-hand spin to a right-hand spin. And that turns the wheel of dharma. And you don't know this stuff. These are words that I'm expressing, explaining it. Yeah? But it's nature. It's what we do when we apply ourselves to be a better person. And the only reason we apply ourselves to be a better person is because God is our guru. Yeah? And we're just not aware, you know. We haven't met God yet, you know. We haven't really had all that, you know. We don't get all these things, you know. But in it, everything, yeah. The only teacher is God, yeah. And the only way through is through God, yeah. So there's different levels, like in Buddhism, you know, applying certain ways, yeah, in order to change the left-hand spin. Calm yourself down, breathe, yeah. Think different thoughts that change the pattern that you're normally thinking, yeah. Focus on Om, you know, and then maybe teach about what is the Om. The Om is the principle of the 5 ratio. It's a very specific movement of energy, yeah. And it's applied naturally through sound, yeah. So when you do that and you understand it in your mind, yeah, then you're doing what God did in thought form building. Yeah. So it's very simple. It's not a lot of logic. It's not a lot of intellectuality. You know, it's very simple. That's Buddhism. Yeah. So Buddhism comes with these very, very simple applications. Yeah. And what they are is it helps you to become a doctor, a practitioner, working your way toward a doctorate. Yeah. Not the kind you get in a university, but the kind you get from being a human being, a practitioner, yeah? And the more and more and more you practice harmlessness and kindness and giving and caring and sharing, getting rid of habits and getting rid of negative circumstances in your life, impurities of all kinds, the more you become more and more and more aware, because you think, oh, I've gotten rid of this and that. Then you calm down a bit more and you realize, you know, wow, I'm surrounded in my own impurity. You know, just how am I ever going to get rid of all this? And that's life. That's life. That's the purpose of life. And the only reason you're doing that is love. You're a disciple of God. And that's how Christ works. Yeah. It's not about me writing a bunch of books and directing people into, oh, this is your lifestyle, this is the way you ought to go, this is the person you ought to be with. You know, all those old things that would go on in religions that you might get from a priest or a nun or whatever, you know, you won't get from me. Yeah? I'm busy doing the one thing that needs to happen on this earth. And that's focusing upon God's plan. Yeah? You have no idea what that plan is, but it's big. It's big. It's a science. Yeah? It's not a little thing. It's a big thing. It heals the nations. And how can you do that? How can you possibly do that? Yeah? What, by politics, by, you know, economy, you know, make a lot of money, give away the money, you know, all this kind of stuff? Yeah? Or is there actually a plan? A planned way to do this? Yeah? Yeah? Is it a planned way to reveal, when you're not even looking for the truth, to reveal the truth and make people aware of things by unveiling principles, yeah, like morals, ethics, virtues, yeah, things that aren't there, yeah. And then once I wake those things up, they are there, and that gives you insight and a new view. Yeah, a view that's being presented as an opportunity to prepare yourself for the coming of Christ. Yeah, because I'm not going away. Yeah, this isn't just the beginning. This is a very big climactic period of time. Yeah, it's a time in which I'm literally taking out witches and warlocks. Yeah, they're at the end of their circle. Yeah. The whole country of England is going to be enormously different over the next 25 years. Because every day another witch and a warlock dies. And you can't do anything about it. They're going to die. Everybody dies. But I'm cleansing this earth because those people are not coming back. Because I spend my time in this life traveling this earth. I'm like the super duper traveler. Yeah? I created airplanes, I created trains, I created automobiles, yeah, for my work, to do what I need to do, to get to where I need to go. Because I've got to make land sacred. Yeah? I don't have to stand there and say, underneath here is a temple, and if you dig, and da-da-da-da. I don't have to do any of that. I just have to travel. And if I travel mainly to sacred sites that are governed by the Dark Lodge. Yeah? That are incredibly sacred, but are governed by the Dark Lodge. Yeah? Few people know anything about Jesus Christ. They're not real sure whether or not his first church was in Glastonbury, you know? But I do. I know how it was built. I know why it was built. I know in what configuration it should be built. I know everything about the whole process. Yeah? And I also know that Padmasambhava was directly in connection to England. And it had no idea Padmasambhava was exercising England. Yeah? And Padmasambhava exercised America and sent monks to America, and they went into the caves and lived there for hundreds and hundreds of years, building pyramids in there and everything. And the American Indians found them. Yeah. So, and Padmasambhava went to England on an island and took over that island and blessed that island for a long period of time. And now it's even known by some very rare people that this is the island that Padmasambhava came to. Yeah. There's so many around this earth that has been held down, yeah, not contained. In Glastonbury, when I went there back in the 80s, it was 100% satanic. 100%. And it's the first church of Jesus the Christ, the very first church. Yeah? You would think, wow, people would pay a little, attention to that, maybe make a church out of it and rather than tear it down, But when I got there, it was more like a park. You can just walk in. No real control as to who walks in, how long you're in there, what you're doing. It was just irreverent. Real irreverent. And you go up to the tour, and you find out witches are up there all the time, carrying out terrible ceremonies. And they have no problem wearing all black, walking around with a staff, calling themselves witches. They have houses that they allow people to come and stay on retreat that are witch covens. And you know it. You walk in, it says Coven of the Witch. And you have Satan right over there in a statue as you walk in. And it's all in black and red. It's like, really? Really? Yeah, no one really gets this? No one got it. Nobody. And if you study more about England, there's much more paganism than you would ever imagine in England. Than you would ever imagine. Yeah. But not today. They died. Yeah. The coven houses that were all surrounding my Dharma center, they wouldn't even let us out of the building. They would stand in front of our Dharma center with signs saying, don't ever go in here. This is an evil place. Don't ever go in this building. If we came out with Vajras and solar forms and tried to walk into any of those buildings inside of Glastonbury, they would come right up to us and ask us to leave. You cannot come in this place. You can't come in this place. Yeah. I mean, all of them. That was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. But it's not that way anymore. Yeah. There used to be Satan in bookstores, the Green Man, and all this kind of stuff. Not there anymore. Yeah. And instead of Satan, there's statues of angels. Yeah. Because I came and put up a great big process for everybody to realize Archangel Michael does exist. And you're all being exercised right now, as of now. And they hated it. Every day of it, they hated it. But I didn't go away, and I'm still there today. Yeah, exercising it. And I did the same thing to Kathmandu. That place was taken over by the worst of evil of all kinds. The worst of Rinpoches of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, it was just horrifying. Yeah, there was no way it wasn't part of the Dark Lodge. It was all part of the Dark Lodge. Every Rinpoche that lived there practiced evil magic, black magic of all kinds, sex magic, money magic, the worst of all magic. And they were getting away with it. Yeah, they lost all of Tibet because of that behavior. Yeah, and I had to go there and build a sanctuary exactly the same way I did in Glastonbury. And I had to do the same thing in Tibet. And it was taken over by the Dalai Lama, Genghis Khan, of all people. Come on. And no one knows any of this stuff because these are reincarnations of demons. They used to be giants, people. And you treat them like they're still giants. Yeah. And they're not. But they are. They are. Their ego is that big. Yeah. Their delusion of grandeur is that big. That's why it's grandeur. Yeah. Their theory that they're a queen or a king, they're actually a giant. Incarnated. Sitting there in a little body. Yeah. But if you look at the throne seat, it's a throne seat for a giant. What's that about? Yeah. These were never meant to be thought of as little people. This is a king or a queen. The size of these people is as big as your whole country. Yeah, that's the delusion. Yeah, you can't walk anywhere in England without thinking of the queen as owning this land. Yeah, that this is our land. This is our bodies. This is the body of the queen, the body of the king. Yeah, that is trouble. That is major trouble. And that's what happened in America. We fought against that. We did everything we could not to have that in us. Yeah. And try and find a United States democracy, a philosophy, yeah, that would bring us right nature. Yeah. And when we built Washington, D.C., we actually put up a monolith that directly is connected to the Great Pyramid. And what the heck's that about? Yeah, an obelisk. Yeah, and all of Washington, D.C. is a geometric square. Yeah? Why is that? Yeah, why is it sanctioned off? You know, not as actually part of the country of the United States, more like Rome. Yeah, and its own little acreage. Yeah, and that is Washington, D.C. Because in that location, a sacred site had been built. A Metatron's cube was established. And an obelisk was placed in the center of it in order to create a governing body that could be raised up for the coming of Christ. Yeah? That wouldn't kill Christ, like in Egypt or Israel. Christ walks in, everybody freaks out, throw him on a cross, kill the man. Yeah? This is in preparation of making sure that doesn't happen again. Creating a new world. Yeah. A world that's based on love. And it's not everywhere. Yeah. It's democracy. It's a consciousness that comes out of Christ. Yeah. It's a higher level of initiation that's manifested in the third degree initiate. Yeah. Everywhere, no matter where you're at, no matter what country you're in, when we reach up to that third level of initiation, our country will be democratic. It's automatic because we're built in a temple of governing. Yeah? And it's God who governs us. Not a king, not a president, nothing like that. It is a constant reincarnation, just like all these others and everybody else who reincarnates. God reincarnates. Yeah? So the making of this temple was created at a time where the Great Pyramid was manifested. A change of everything was made at that time. An orientation of the temple and an orientation of mankind was set, yeah, in order to create a vibrational shift in the consciousness from left-hand spin to right-hand spin, allowing us to experience dharma. Yeah? And dharma is democracy. Yeah? And yet, you gotta yak it up, you gotta write it up, you gotta come with all these logical terms behind what is democracy, because we don't understand that we had to go through the first two initiations, and we don't understand what initiations are. Yeah. So let me show you this. This is the process. First, I'll show you this. This is Shambhala. And this structure, everything in it has a purpose. Yeah, it's designed and oriented toward the whole earth. Yeah, it is, the phi ratio in the pyramid is exactly the same as the Great Pyramid. It has around it 7 pyramids. The domes represent circle. Yeah, circle, like Earth. Yeah, or the sun, or the moon. Yeah, or the geomancy of movement. Yeah. It's all done through science. Yeah. So this particular thing, this Shambhala, is part of a healing process. Yeah. So that's an ongoing thing. That's ongoing. Yeah. And you don't have to get a Shambhala credit card, or you don't have to get a Shambhala book to become decreed as a member of Shambhala. You don't have to do anything like that, because this is a singular teacher who constantly reincarnates. You're not aware that I'm doing this, and I do this, and this time I am externalizing. And I'm placing the science into action. Now that changes everything for everybody, because I'm up against the Dark Lodge. Yeah? And they're sitting around as fake prophets who are holding down the Indian nation, the American nation, all humanity in every nation. Yeah? And they're going to go, people. You may not want to have them go because you know them, you may have grown up with them, yeah? But they're going to go. You just do not have the discernment and discrimination to realize this is what Christ is doing. There is an exorcism going on, big time. Yeah? You've lost Sai Baba. You're going to lose the Pope, and you're going to lose them over and over and over again, until you finally realize they are Lucifer's agents and not an agent of God. Yeah? It's a horrible outcome. It's the same in Tibetan Buddhism. It's the same in all the religions. The agents in charge are of dark matter. Yeah? They do not care about you. Yeah? They're dark. They're without love. They're without sympathy. They're without any form that can change our world. It will only keep things going in the way they're going, because they're in charge of the direction humanity is taking. Yeah? Because that's will. When you have free will and these dark forces don't believe in God's will, they're going to use their free will to make sure you don't receive God's will. And God's will is spontaneous. Yeah? That's the difference between all the false prophets and my teaching. My teaching is I can only teach you about the building of the temple. You're a temple. Everything's a temple. We are all sciences. We're everything in manifestation, and we haven't even come to anywhere near the outcome of what's going to happen, you know, when this temple awakens everything. All the suffering you have, the process of suffering, every kind of suffering, is due to the lack of vibration that comes from the temple. Once the temple reaches the whole earth and humanity is in touch with the temple, humanity begins changing dramatically. Yeah. So I put these tools out, little things like this, geometric forms, you know, etheric weavers, you know, little things like that, you know, all these things that go out to humanity in order to bring the influence of the temple that's vibrating at a rate you cannot imagine. And it's created an exorcism. Yeah. And that exorcism can heal your business, it can heal your relationships, it can heal you, it can heal everything. Yeah. Because we're not in a real world. Yeah. We're in a world of imperil, of avarice, of vices. Yeah. And that's impure. So my thing isn't to teach you that you're impure. My thing is to teach you how to become pure. Yeah? How to purify, how to heal, how to cleanse. Yeah? So that you could receive God's truth. Because God's here. And God is teaching. And God has a plan. And it's organized. It has a timeline to it. Yeah? And if you don't get your shit together and start applying this process in it, then the aggravation is greater as time goes on, because the teaching gets more powerful. Yeah, it reaches the influence of time, because the temple controls time. Yeah, and you have no consideration of what that means. Oh my God, God controls time. God's coming. God's control time. That means God can control me and the outcome of what's going to happen next time or in the next minute. And how do you get from this place to the next? All these things that we think are material could be totally related to the influence of time. Yeah? And inside time, there's destiny. There could be karma. There could be dharma. Yeah? So the influence that comes with God is to reorient everything into the time of the Messiah, the time of God, which is a very different time when you have constantly done everything to make sure the Messiah is deader than a doornail, lost, forgotten, and completely lied about in delusionary explanations. Yeah, creating one religion after another, one book or belief system after another, and none of them hitting the mark. Yeah. So let's check this out. This is about people now are just now finding out that the Great Pyramid was not built by Khufu. Yeah. It was not built by Egyptian pharaohs. Yeah. It's obviously not a place of a tomb. Yeah. So, and there's more than one of them, you know. They're so big, so incredibly big, yeah. But this isn't your topic, right? You go to all your schools, yeah. You graduate, you know, the amount of water in a cup, you know. You get all that fine education, you know. But you have no idea about the pyramid, nor are you going to bother studying it, yeah. And when you do, you find out what is said about it is a lie. Why is that? Why would they do that? Yeah. Because no one bothers to check it out. It's just too big of a monument. Yeah. Crazy people like Elon Musk, he says, oh, it's from extraterrestrials. Because he doesn't believe in God. Yeah. And Egyptians, they go, well, it was by Khufu the Pharaoh. Because they believe in Egyptians and that they had the ability to do this. So they come up with this enormous plan of whatever way, slavery or whatever, you know, of building this pyramid. But there's not one pyramid, folks. There's 2 pyramids. And there are 3 other little pyramids that are all perfectly made and serve a purpose. And not for a pharaoh. Not for man. In the way that you think. Yeah? Where all of them, oh, this is made by Khufu, or this is made by this pharaoh, or this. Yeah? But this is made by Enoch. Yeah? And Enoch is a big thing. Big thing. If you study the Bible, yeah, you find out Enoch, wow, Enoch is direct lineage to Adam. Yeah? And Enoch is directly in relationship to Noah. Yeah? And that Noah and the flood and all that, that's a big story. That's something. Yeah? And you study Enoch and there's hardly anything, because no one bothers to read it. No one bothers to look into this. You can find out it's in the Bible, and it tells you Enoch was the one who built the Great Pyramid. Yeah. And, what comes out of that? Why would he build it? It's not a tomb. Yeah. And it's not for what you think. Yeah. Yeah. It's a Bible. Yeah. It's a Bible. It's a Bible. Yeah. Made manifest through the mind of God that controls time. Yeah. This thing is big. These stones are amazing. They're set in certain ways. There are rooms and chambers throughout this thing. There are pipeline air holes that go out, strategically aligning to specific star patterns. Yeah. And it all is set in a very specific geometric pattern for the entire Earth. Yeah. Set for longitude, latitude. We don't have an understanding of longitude and latitude without the Great Pyramid. Yeah. So everything we know, all things that we know actually comes from the one teaching manifested by God through Enoch. Yeah. And it's the building of the great temples. Yeah. And the building of those pyramids are establishing a teaching, but not for your words, not for linear thought or intellectuality, but for you to realize the magnificence of the teacher. Yeah? Because it wasn't extraterrestrials that built that pyramid. It was Enoch. Yeah? And Enoch walked it through. Why? Because Enoch lived for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And it takes that long to build such a beautiful thing. The average person lived 100 years. And you can't imagine, wow, how would you get people who live only 40 or 50 years to build such a structure? You'd have to have really skilled people and all this. No, Enoch wasn't in that scenario. Enoch was the teacher, held the whole plan, knew every single stone in its place and its purpose, and knew the whole earth from above. Knew the latitude, the longitude, the geometric patterns, and moved all the continents in position. Yeah. All of them are sitting in the position that Enoch created. God, an incarnation of God, Enoch. Now, how do you know he's the incarnation of God? Yeah? Read the frickin' Bible. Read the Bible. At what point did anybody, and this comes all the way back to the lineage of Adam and Eve, goes all the way up to Enoch. Enoch fulfills this incredibly wonderful thing. The building of the Great Pyramid, the setting of all of time and light on the earth, preparing the way for the Messiah. Because that's what the pyramid's for. Making this earth ready to be the temple seat of Godhead. Yeah? Not just a regular place, not where demigods come and claim this earth for their glory and false prophecy and all the things that keep going on. This is set and has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years, moving the evolution of this earth to what we see today. Yeah. All done by a single guy, Enoch. So if you read the Bible, you find out, whoa, what happened to Enoch? When did he die? You know, well, he lived about 600 and some odd years. Yeah, but he ascended. It was time for him to go back to heaven. And God literally brought angels to earth and carried him to heaven. He ascended with them. And as he ascended, and this is in the Bible, he transformed back into the archangel Metatron, who is the Son of God. If you read the Bible, truly study this shit, you know, this is exactly what you'll find out. Yeah. Everything I'm teaching is uncovering enormous information behind God. Yeah, behind God. Yeah. Because God's a coming, people. God's here. God's doing it. Yeah. And it's the majesty, the enormousness of it is the reason why the Messiah is the Messiah. It's not about teaching. It's not about you got to treat this person like a guru. You got to treat this person like anything other. You got to come to realize what you do know is that you don't know. And anybody who knows, it would be the Messiah. So the Messiah would be the helper. Yeah. The Messiah built everything. Yeah. So the Messiah can make it really easy to put everything back in order. You got a problem? The Messiah fixes it. Because he's the Lord of time. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter what it is. The Messiah will fix it. Yeah? And that happens in large manifestation, whether it be the Messiah just fixing one little thing right here and now. It turns out to be an enabling energy inside of all of humanity to where all of a sudden they're able to see what they couldn't see, and they could fix what it is that was impossible to fix. Yeah. So imagine here is the temple.
Now for some of the mathematical proofs. We look in, the base of the Great Pyramid is 365.242 pyramid cubits. Remember, that was 25 cubic pyramid inches. And it's interesting because the Egyptian calendar had 365 days. It did not have partial days. And they didn't understand irrational numbers like 365.242. If we look at the calendar year, it has 365.242.185 days per year. Takes in that leap year and all that stuff. The Egyptians didn't have this knowledge, and yet it's represented in the size of the base of the pyramid. Are you interested? And that is 99.99995% accurate. Could you build a building today that represented it that accurately in a size? You would have a tough time. We see the pyramid specifies the value of pi. And once again, they didn't have irrational numbers, so they didn't understand this. And so if you take the base twice, divided by the height, you come up with 3.141596422. And pi is, you'll see we've got 5 digits of precision to pi. And so it's 99.9998% accurate, represented. Engineers call this an overdetermined structure. So there's things represented here that aren't really necessary for the design or structure of the building, but they're shown here. We're only going to show you a few.
So how this was done, yeah, was by me saying no, wrong, move it, nope, this way, further this way, yeah. Then I'd set up geometric patterns with the sun, other patterns with the moon, watch the angles come down, see the differences in that, and slowly but surely created the Earth calendar. The place in which the Earth sits, how many days, how far, all of this, yeah? And all of that went into the equation of making the pyramid, because the pyramid fit all of everything in Revelation, of what I could see, what I could understand. This is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of instructing. So imagine here we're looking at Shambhala. Same thing happened here. Yeah, I took people that are not carpenters, they are not contractors, they don't build shit. Yeah, most they ever did was put in an air conditioner. Yeah. So I say, hey, good job putting in the air conditioner. You want to help me build something? They go, okay. So I said, great, let's go. Yeah. And I laid this thing out. And every single thing, every single step of it was measured out and done the way I wanted it to be done, to make sure that the outcome of it would come out in a perfect manifestation. In the same way, the Great Pyramid came out in a perfect manifestation to do what it was meant to do. Yeah. So that order, that's called recapitulation. Yeah. I do what I do because I do it. I'm the one who does it. Yeah. So it's not a matter of inventing anything. Yeah. It's a matter of cooperating with God's will. Yeah. And if we're doing something, yeah, especially what I'm doing, yeah, then it has a direct relationship with the creation of the last time I built this great pyramid on this earth, creating a sacred earth, going against what's going to happen and what is happening. Yeah. And then as that time evolves on, we'll have Shambhala. And Shambhala will be a principle from Buddhism that will be pointed out in Buddhism as the level in which the incarnations of the Lord takes from Buddhism up to the point of the Messiah. And Messiah comes with Shambhala. Yeah. So that's this.
We look at the golden ratio. And the golden ratio is it's used in architecture, it's used in design, and it's intrinsically gives us our concept of beauty and symmetry as well. And so we take the apothem divided by the base, and it comes up with 1.618. That's the golden ratio. And so when we have the golden ratio, you see we have 1, then we go 1.618, and then it continues. It predicts that with 99.94% accuracy. The golden spiral. So if we look at this nautilus shell, and many seashells follow this, this is called fractal geometry. It's demonstrated in the shell. And it's also demonstrated here again. We have the layout of the pyramids, and guess what? It's shown there precisely as well. And it's also shown if you go through the capstone to the base plane, the basal plane, and then you come up to the great step, and then you go to the far side of the king's chamber, and then it will come out at the entrance to the king's chamber. That's the fraction. That's the loop, precisely and mathematically. So we see a great internal symmetry in the Great Pyramid as well. We look at the golden ratio again, and people that have facial features that use the golden ratio are considered beautiful. It's universal. So when we see a picture of a beautiful person, it's likely that most of their features follow this golden ratio. If we look at the human hand, it demonstrates in our DNA the golden ratio. You see the proportion of the end of the finger to the different bones in the finger.
So everything is proportioned that way, whether it be a bird or a person, an insect, a tree, a leaf, a flower, even air, even molecules. Yeah, it's all designed in this way. Yeah. So here we have Enoch as the one who built the pyramid, and we know in the Bible that when Enoch ascended, that's an important thing you got to consider, because where is this earth moving? What are we going to become? Are we going to be a bunch of people sitting around stoking a fire, staying warm, starving, living in cold, wondering what life about? Or are we going to become ascended? Yeah. Ascended. Yeah. Where did Enoch go? He ascended. He ascended. Is that a one-time thing? No, it happened to Jesus too. Yeah? And that means that it is the principle of reality. Yeah? Not just, this only happens to God, or the chosen few. No. It happens to the one that it happens to. Yeah? And that evolution is sparked by billions of years of evolution. That being has been alive and living and existing and is in the place where people are going. Yeah? Where we're going to evolve to. Yeah? So I'm here teaching about Buddha. I'm recognized as Buddha in Tibet. I've got all these, things, things like this, all the sanctified reality of what it would be if I was to reincarnate. But why Buddha? Yeah? Why Buddhism? Yeah? And it's mainly because it's a field of energy. A field of energy. It's called the soul. Yeah? And it really does exist. And it exists inside the human body. Yeah? It becomes a spiritual aspect of our being. And we become aware of the fact that we do reincarnate. And we don't suffer as much as most. Yeah? Because we're aware of the fact that we transcend this material world, the suffering that comes with it and everything else. And that when we reincarnate with a better body and a better mind, better emotions, because everything we went through in this life we practice properly so that we build our next life. That's time travel. That's a form of time travel. Yeah? And we're being taught this without us going through some technical school or, all this stuff. But it is our outcome. It's our evolutionary outcome. Yeah? The process to where we don't die, we ascend. Yeah? In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a process, and most people in Tibetan Buddhism don't get past the fourth initiation, but to reach the fourth initiation is an enormously wonderful death. You get a rainbow body. It's incredible. Yeah? If you study it, take the time to study, you'll find that these are average people of Tibet, people who practice Buddhism, average moms, dads, old people, practice Buddhism all their life. Yeah? And you think, wow, they never are a Rinpoche, they're not a Lama, they're not a saint, but yet they practice. They practice. That's all they did. It's that they practice. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Yeah? Have visions, study. Yeah? And in that process, they awakened Buddha within. They became less this material world of suffering and all the things that go on in it, and more the transcended, sentient being that's inside them. And no matter what their suffering was, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Yeah? So they were doing what's known in Tibetan Buddhism is the Heart Sutra. Yeah? I am not my hands. Yeah? I am not my eyes. Yeah? I am not what you see. Yeah? Yeah? I am my heart. I am only my heart. That's it. Yeah? That's all that there is. Yeah? And that's a difficult one, but that is the practice. In Tibetan Buddhism, it really comes down to that simple process. And that's the fourth initiation. Yeah, and when a person actually reaches that, they get a rainbow body at the time of their death, and their body literally ascends into dematerialization and shrinks. Yeah? A lot of people, all they leave behind is their fingernails. Yeah? Just a few little parts of body. Many people, shrink to the size of a 1 foot tall person. Yeah. I mean, that's like crazy, but this is all documented historical fact. Yeah. And it really depends on our level of ascension. How high in time and space are we at? And the more material we are, the more we're going to die, and the more we're going to go through this, oh, I'm afraid of dying. And then when you die, you're going to have a body that dies, you know. And it's going to have its process, and people are going to suffer around it. Yeah. But in this group that I'm talking about, these people would say, leave me alone, you know. And they would sit and meditate. Yeah. And then they'd leave their body. Yeah, and they get smaller and smaller. The cloth would be around their body, and it just gets smaller and smaller. Yeah, I have so many thousands and tens of thousands of people, average kind of people, who died in that experience of just leaving, you know, fingernails behind. Yeah, nobody in the cave. Yeah, last time you saw the person, the only thing sitting there is the clothing that they had on. Yeah. And it's sitting in the position where they were meditating. This isn't uncommon. Yeah. So all these people aren't dying. Yeah. They're ascending. Yeah. They're actually merging into Buddha. Yeah. They are an emanation. Through all that practice, the love from Buddha kept them from suffering the way that they would have. Gave them a new opportunity, a new chance, one they can't, not in a book, not, you know, not logic stuff, you know, but it's practice. It's practice. Trust me, if you practice what I'm telling you, you will not live a life that you would be living, because in that other life, you're controlled by darkness of time. Yeah? Your thought forms are of the past. Your thought form is the desire body of the future. Yeah, your thought form is material, you know, rather than spiritual, ascended. You know, it really requires an enormous amount of helping people get to this place. So, like they said in this, you know, the pyramid is carries this functions, and geomancy carries that function. But you know, inside the pyramid is an octahedron. This octahedron, and if you look at that, that looks pretty darn much like a pyramid. Yeah. But it's in geometric form. Yeah? And that geometric form is the same geometric form of a diamond if you find it in the rough. Yeah? And all these different geometric things are found in objects of material form. Yeah? Sacred objects, all these different forms. So God built this thing, just like he built the pyramid. And the pyramid is there for you to go, whoa, you know, must be extraterrestrials, must be. No. It is the same Jesus that you're overwhelmed by. Yeah. And it's the same Adam that Lucifer turned on. Yeah. And created all the fall of humanity. And it wasn't anything to do with Adam or Eve. It was to do with the fallen angels. And the whole process of the earth, we have history after history. We have a wiping away of humanity through a flood. During the time of Enoch and during the time, you know, of Methuselah. Methuselah died just before the flood. Yeah, it was his son, yeah, Enoch, who got the message and built the boat and saved everybody. This is a major important family, yeah, a lineage of one individual who emanations go out, manifested over 1,000-year lifestyle. You know, who lives 1,000 years? Only this one family, one lineage throughout time lives that length of time, and they've been, you know, there as the agent of God's work, you know, building the temple, manifesting, you know, the Ten Commandments and the manifestation behind that, manifesting the Great Pyramid and the manifestation of that, manifesting the incarnation of Jesus in a metaphysical way, you know, through angels and divine manifestation without orientation of male or female, you know, having sex and then having a child, immaculately conceived. That was part of a plan. Yeah. And everything is just as hard as building the pyramid as immaculately being conceived. It takes that God to do it. Only God could do that. Everybody else and everything else is in creation. Yeah? It can either go against the creator or it can co-create. Yeah? And everything God does is to create a science that makes it easier for you to cooperate. And that creates co-creation. Yeah? And it's impossible to cooperate, in a time 1,000 years ago when you had giants running around scaring the crap out of you, and you'd pledge yourself like idols and gods and other things to these people and think that that's what you have to do because of fear. They're keeping you away from the truth. Yeah. This is our history. This is how we've come about in history, and all that's changing. By the time we get to the next 10 years, there'll be such an enormous transmission of energy that will be moving through the earth. The healing aspect. Like I said, the ascension of Enoch. Yeah. Well, imagine here I'm incarnated now, and my process is creating a light, that has to do with the new genetic form of humanity. Yeah. There'll be people who will live 200 years, 300 years, yeah, because I'm blessing them to do this, yeah, and they'll have that blessing, and they just won't die, yeah, and that'll be just because, not because they're non-drinkers, not because they're this or that, it's just because in previous lives, that was the sequence of what happened for them. But in the future, as time goes on, as people start taking on sacred geomancy through my temple, yeah, through my energy, by picking up these, putting hundreds of thousands of pyramids all over the earth, awakening children, yeah, giving them little bajras, having them listen to the pujas, generation after generation as this keeps going, yeah, will eliminate all the false prophets that was going to incarnate and take their souls. Simply because I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm just like in practicing in Buddhism, if you could do good things and come across a great teacher, and that teacher transform you by building a temple that you can go to, and meditations that you can align to, and circumstances and change that you can go to that are spiritual in the divine order of the temple, yeah, which is sacred geomancy. It's not just you buy a pyramid and you're going to get there. You need to have the teacher, because the teacher creates transmission. Yeah. So all of this, everything that humanity is going through, is a quickening. Yeah. But the key is that the Dark Lodge is being evaporated. They're going to go through here, like I say, the ascended process. Yeah. Here you have these great beings who do ascend. You have people in Tibet who do dematerialize when they die rather than leaving a body. Yeah. So there is something going on that's so different. Saints who die, who don't stink, yeah, whose body stays looking the same as it did when they died. It happens, yeah. We have enormous relics of people like that who we believe to be saints, and yet their bodies stay in this state, yeah. And all of that is that's what's going on, is that we are in the tree of life, yeah. And in the tree of life, God created life with energy you can't imagine. The amount of energy in God is beyond all things, yeah. It doesn't matter the power of a planet, the power of a volcano, the power of anything. It's nothing compared to the singular reality of God. Yeah? Because God provides the light. It's the light. When you study this pyramid, you'll find that the pyramid is a principle of the light. Check this out.
Demonstrates the golden ratio. It's in our DNA. And we look at buildings that are classic architecture, and they demonstrate the golden ratio. That's really when men became aware of it and started to design and use it. So back in the Egyptians' time, they didn't understand this principle. So this intrinsically defines beauty. Now, the difference between pi and the golden ratio is 0.5236. And it just so happens that there are 0.5326 meters to a cubit. And that defines that relationship with 99.8% accuracy. Is this a coincidence? The squaring of the circle principle, that says that 2 times pi times the radius equals the circumference. And it works just like this. And this is basic geometry, so we can determine the circumference. Once again, the Egyptians did not have these irrational numbers. They didn't understand this. But if we look at 2 times pi times the height, it equals the perimeter. So we go height, and we look at that angle of the perimeter. It perfectly demonstrates. And this is the only size, relative height and width and angle. They have to be precisely this to demonstrate what's demonstrated in the circle. We look at the speed of light, 186,282 miles per second. If we look at this angle, 51, 51, 14, that's 14 seconds, 51 minutes, 51 times 60, and then 51 degrees, 51 times 3,600, that's called arc seconds. It comes up with 186,674 arc seconds. That specific angle represents the speed of light in miles per second with 99.8% accuracy.
Interesting. That means it doesn't exist. Light comes from God. God. You look at him and you go, oh, he looks like a man. But he's not. He is the light. And it creates matter into what we're witnessing. Yeah? Which is life. Yeah? You think, oh, yeah, I'll just buy a car. I'll just do this and that. Yeah? Whatever I want with life. It's mine to do. But is it true? Is it true? Is there anything that isn't created by God? Anything? Yeah. And with free will, you can make impurity by counteracting God, the creation of God. Yeah. Yeah. Just like fracking. When you know fracking isn't the right thing to do, and you continue doing it, your consciousness, which is part of the phi ratio, part of the time to change, you may not have these thoughts, at a certain time, but after a certain time, it is time to change. Because really you don't have free will. What you have is a plan of God's grace. And it's working out the process of greed, corruption, manipulation, and malice that is incredibly impure. It creates slavery, it creates all the things of bigotry and all the things of jealousy and murder, all the things we experience that we cannot explain. And that comes with people who are controlling the elements of time. If you ever practice any form of black magic or anything like that, you use divination, you use astrology, you use things in order to hopefully bring about a change that benefits you personally. You personally. Even a prayer. You might pray to God and say, oh, I need a Cadillac. I pray every day. Give me a Cadillac. Yeah. And, you do what you do, but it doesn't mean you're going to get a Cadillac. And if you do get a Cadillac, that only means you're going to become more superstitious. You're going to think that, oh, my prayers got me that Cadillac. It's probably your greed that got you that Cadillac. It's probably other many, many things, that got you to even think you should have a Cadillac. and then go through what it takes to get that. Yeah. So many things that are choices, that are opportunities, that are tempting. Yeah. And we live in a world that's based not on light or love or God. Yeah. It's based on materialism. Yeah. And in that, that's what's being healed. Yeah. Materialism takes you to a left-hand spin. It takes you to knowledge. Yeah. Which blinds you from the light. Yeah. You come across something like this. You see the Great Pyramid. You mathematics. There's a lot of geniuses out there. Yeah. At least they say they are. Yeah. You would think the first thing that they would figure out is the Great Pyramid. Oh my God, the structure of light. It's in the Great Pyramid. How is that possible? It also has the measurement, latitude, longitude of the Earth and the measurement of the moon. How's that possible? We're so smart. We're trying to figure out quantum physics or any form of physics. Yeah? But whoever did this already had it figured out. So whatever we're figuring out, we're getting it from the person who did this. It's not new. Yeah? It's just an unveiling, an opportunity. You know? Circumstances allow. Now it's time to figure out the speed of light. Now it's time to figure out that the speed of light is controlled by gravity, oscillation, and its manifestation of God's will. Yeah? And we don't know God's will. We don't know it. Yeah? We don't know that the creation of light was created by Metatron, an angel. Yeah? He created the electron. And when you create the electron, you know, being Metatron, as a co-creator to this plan, yeah, imagine taking things that aren't. It's nothing. There's nothing out there. Just bolts of energy. Yeah. You take that and you meditate through that and you transform that out of chaos into perfect, focused light. And it turns into the reality of what God really is. 7 rays. Yeah. And that has a very specific speed to it. Very trippy. Yeah. And you can't see it unless you are that light. If you are that light, then you could see it as a fractal. Yeah. And everything you're thinking and seeing becomes manifested through that light. And that's how Metatron created matter. And everything we're looking at was created by Metatron. Yeah. And that was all willed by God. Yeah. And just like in the creation of the first manifestation of the first archangel. Yeah. Archangel. You take everything, all things, and pull it right toward you. Yeah. That's an archangel. Yeah. And then as it enters, he releases it, and it comes out God. Yeah. That's exactly what I just told you. Yeah. How all things were created that way. But the way it was done was by focusing on the electron, creating an electron. So the God particle would be manifested inside the electron, inside of light, inside of creation, so that every living thing would have a soul. Yeah? And we're now realizing that such a thing does exist. There is a God particle that allows all matter to interconnect. Yeah? And the thing about that God particle is that it's completely free. Yeah? It's completely free, all on its own. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. It just is free. Yeah? And that's God. Yeah? It's the same thing. It's oriented in the same consciousness. It's just that we don't understand that God is a creator. You know? And what God creates, God has a manifestation that creates it through light. Yeah? And everything we have. So here I make a vajra, yeah, and a little weaver, you know, like this. weavers, little things like that. Well, these things are amplifiers of light. That's all they do. They amplify light. And I'm light. You look at me and you think, well, that's him. We know him. But I'm not that. I'm light. What you see, the reason why I can reincarnate is because I'm light. And light is in control of form. Light is in control of form. That's God. God is light. God is in control of form. That's how I get here. That's how I incarnate, perfectly on time. That's why I have all these events that are so enormously magnificent. Creating the pyramid, creating Shambhala, and fixing everything for everybody. How is that possible? How is it not possible? Really. Just think about it. You're not asked to do any of this. This was done by Metatron. Billions of years in effect. Billions of years of focus. It's truly a nature that I got. And that nature is what you'll grow into. And as time goes on, suffering will be over with. But that's only because the witches and warlocks do not imperil the earth anymore. With lies of conspiracy and illusion and delusion and pain and suffering and all the imperil that comes from every single ray, which is the light, that is turned backwards to create darkness. Imagine it's a vacuum. Imagine this light is moving in specific ways. And what if people in the form of darkness take that same light as a personality and express lies? And manipulate elements by being able to tell lies and not have any conscience. By being able to harm people and have no conscience. Just live through this process of doing evil. That's what comes with these demons when they came onto this earth, manifesting their daily actions. They were not a part of God. They were the adversary. And the adversary is a real reality. We are in it. Witches and warlocks are the coven of the adversary. Incarnations of these demons like Trump and many, many others who followed Trump and still stuck in their offices wondering how did they get there and will they ever get out of this and should there be, all these questions. Everything will be answered when they're gone. It's, this is not a magic show. This is reality, folks. This is real reality. And when I take the disease, take it away from you, you won't have that disease. That's the only way it works. It's not a magic show. I don't go up to some demon and say, "Ula bula God, now you're saved." I don't do that. I realize who they are. I recognize the situation and I step back. And I will say the truth. I will call it out. I will give it its name in form of vice. And that energy from the words that I express enters immediately as a dispelling of glamour. There isn't a thing that I do that isn't here to dispel the glamour that will save you. But what will be the outcome of you being saved? The end of suffering. That's a major thing. One of the worst things you'll ever experience is the loss of a loved one. Death. Death is just outside the realm of reality. It was the curse placed on humanity. And here I come to tell you that I'm here to release you from your curse. So what will be your outcome? Not just a long life, folks, but a life. Life. And you won't know this until it has come. And that is the ascension. Yeah. You'll ascend to the body that you're meant to be in without the demons permeating that body. Yeah. Creating a false reality, a false body, a personality complex. All these suffering diseases, all are healed by the awakening of Buddha nature inside of you. Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm Buddha. Yeah. So this whole thing's going to heal and everything's going to change, but you need to have in your mind, that, this is not an easy job, and the process that I'm doing is a science. Yeah. And it elevates this world in a way in which people are going to be healed, but you're going to have to become more discerning and discriminating about the fact that there are demons walking around who are suffering and are meant to suffer and are going through that suffering process because it's an awakening. It's not about, nobody's supposed to suffer and everybody's, demons are meant to go through the turnaround. Yeah. And that turnaround is that here they are sucking your soul. Well, that stops. It ends. And now their process is that the soul they're sucking is their own. And they cannot reach out to anybody else because the Lord is permeating every living cell to be protected by the process of that energy. Because they have no idea. Humanity is not of any awareness to the process that's going on in the ability to attain a soul. What would be the outcome of that? What, are you going to fly? Are you going to levitate? Yeah, you can turn into a butterfly? Yeah. Are we going to go from caterpillar to butterfly? Yeah, we are. Yeah. All your cells will change. Everything about you will change because the Lord built your body. And when the Lord is in you, the Lord takes charge. Yeah? You're the Lord's empowerment. Yeah? The ability to manifest the grace of God on earth is the blessing inside of humanity, externalizing the reality of God. Not the suffering that's manifested that you can't explain, yeah? But the revelation of purity inside of the hearts of humanity that you can witness. Yeah? Changing of everything, from governments to politics to everything. Yeah? All that changes very, 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 very quickly once the enormous amount of imperil has been released from Earth. Yeah? So just hang in there. Year 2025 was a really big one. So there's a lot of people that I am spending a lot of energy manifesting a transition in their body, helping them make this transition, like putting President Trump into being President Trump and then taking him out, in the worst possible way as a loser of all losers. Yeah. Where he comes in saying, I'm a winner and that's the best thing for you. We're all going to win now. Yeah, because that's what the Dark Lodge believes. They always win. They're never caught. Yeah, everybody else suffers for them and they never have to suffer. So you're on the right track back then, but not anymore. Yeah, that whole track has been eliminated because these people are being found. And they're being judged right before your eyes. And people are waking up in order to judge them. Yeah. So they're not cursed by being in the cult. They're able to stand back and see the cult exists. And they choose not to be in the cult. That's where we're at. We're coming out of this process where all the dark forces were pulling at our solar plexus, making us sympathy and thinking, oh, you poor person, why you die like that, why are you suffering so much, why you say these things, in reality, You must come to grips with yourself and come to grips with trying to get people to realize Christ is on earth. And it'd be hard to tell Trump, but if you know anybody suffering, their biggest suffering is that they don't know Christ is here. And if you try and apply to them this reality, and if they really are suffering in a way in which is demonic, they will go into an exorcism. And they'll tell you wholeheartedly that, you're on the wrong path. Yeah. And that don't be following anybody who says they're Christ, and don't be doing anything of Buddhism, and don't be doing anything of this particular thing. Yeah. Because their process is that they cannot get out of hell. And they're in charge of making sure hell exists. And it's not that they're bad people. Yeah. It's just that they're inside the league of fallen. Yeah. And until they've been saved, you got to ask them, would you please consider Jesus Christ? Would you please try and listen to this music? Would you please hold this vajra? Do whatever you can. Because demons can be reduced in their suffering. And their suffering could be a lot less. And they still will leave their body. But they won't leave their body with so much suffering. To me, it's not necessary. I don't see a reason why demons should have to suffer. The reason for me being here is to let them know that I'm here. Repent. Change your ways. Stop right now. Yeah? And you'll live, and you'll go through whatever you're going to go through, and you'll die the way you're supposed to. But at least you have been saved by the process of meeting Jesus Christ. And in that, the death process of purgatory or hell is far less. Yeah. And the transcendence of the person being redeemed, restructured, and then reborn as a human being has a chance. Yeah. That's the purpose of Buddhism. Yeah. Is to help people who have fallen dark into demonic spells and demonic nature. And the only way you can actually save these people is slow but sure, getting them to practice the dharma. Yeah. And they become dharma protectors. They don't stop being, the heavy duty force. Yeah. They're still there, but we have to turn them into dharma protectors. Yeah. And if that doesn't work, they go to hell. And they stay there. And that's just how that stays. Yeah. But the opportunity is that every time an incarnation takes place, if this world is in Buddha nature and ready and prepared for these incarnations, and we immediately we have temples, we practice Buddhism, we have our vajras all around, so when those little kids come, they are now in a world that doesn't support their dark nature. And it allows them to grow and become the human nature that they can evolve into and manifest as a good, kind human being. Very important. Yeah. All right, so let's pray and do puja. Okay. In Tibetan Buddhism, as Padmasambhava, I established a process for the second initiation for people. And in that second initiation, there's an awakening of this brow center that is helped. Yeah? And in that, people are given certain blessings that allows them to wake up. So one of the things is a vajra, something that looks like this. And one doesn't really know the vajra. You know, so when they receive it as a practitioner, they're told the word Vajra. Yeah. And Vajra is the name of God. Dorje. Yeah. Thunderbolt. Yeah. Electricity. It's the name of God. Yeah. So it helps to orient people in the process of transforming their material reality into a spiritual reality. Yeah. Through a metaphysical transformation. Yeah. So in the incarnations, when the emanations manifest, we gave them crowns, yeah, to sit with. In the second initiation, we would give them crowns. Yeah. And when that happens, they become an emanation of the guru. Yeah. And they're going to make it through the third initiation because of this. Yeah. And they're called Rinpoche. Yeah. And it's a first incarnation recognition. Quite often it's right after they died. And then they reincarnate, and the guru finds them and says, this is Naropa, you know, this is this. Yeah, and then they come back and they have a further relationship with other students who have had the same experience from the original teacher that gave them their crown and originally told them that they're a tuku. And now we're in this family, yeah, a family. It's called dharma, yeah. And out of that, you have one single teacher. It comes in many incarnations, but one single teacher. And this is the hat. This little hat is the hat of the senior teacher, Padmasambhava. Yeah. And this is a Vajradhara hat. Yeah. So when in Buddhism, when we think of God, you know, we think of God as a manifestation that comes in the form of a human being, but it's a Buddha form. So it's meditating, and it comes holding a Vajra like this, yeah, and it has a bell like this, yeah. One hand's a bell, the other hand is a Vajra, and I hold them like this, yeah, with across each other, and holding them brings about the unification of things that are separate, not separate, but they seem to be separate, but they're not, yeah. So you hold the Vajra and you hold the bell, and you ring the bell, and the Vajra goes with the bell. And the two are resonating together, because if you look on here, you'll see the top of this is a Vajra. Yeah, nice. Top of this is the Vajra. And then the Vajra that would be held would look just like this Vajra, except there'd be two ends to it that look just like this. Yeah. So in reality, you're ringing a bell, and the Vajra energy and the bell connect up. So this holds, ding, ding. This holds the energy of Vajradhara, Dhara, the Dharma King, God. Yeah. So this is something that's seen, you know, because Vajradhara is always in a state of yoga, always in that state. And from that, Vajradhara holds these energies, and it manifests a female form. Yeah. So that becomes a Vajrasattva. Yeah. Yeah. And out of that becomes two forms. Yeah. The Vajradhara, Vajrasattva, made manifest as two unique embodiments, divine embodiments of Buddha. Yeah. But in Buddhism, they're never thought to incarnate. They're always thought to be just entities of sentiency and too pure to take a physical incarnation. But that's not true. Every incarnation of Buddha comes from that particular location, every single one. Yeah. So all the tukus that get blessed are blessed under that lineage, goes all the way down, Vajradhara, to you. Yeah. So every person, over time, becomes an emanation of Vajradhara. So I'm going to put this hat on, yeah, and this helps to unify everybody in their reality, because it's in the second initiation that people have enough reverence to where if the guru teaches and says, I'm going to do darshan or things like that, people want to attend because it's transmission. Yeah. And transmission is important because on this planet we are mainly ruled by these witches and warlocks. Yeah. And so this I put on only on occasion because I'm not honored on this earth, you know. And so it would be dishonorable for me to walk around with this, So I do it in different ways. I wear sacred clothing. I wear symbols on all my clothes. Everything I make, everything I eat, everything I live in is built and made by me. Everything. And all my vajras, my solar forms, all this is manifested to help me in the fact that I'm not the one sitting on the seat on this planet as the planetary logos. You have another guru. And that guru has all the false prophets manifested and channeling. And that includes you. Channeling in itself. That's what the astral plane is. Slowly but surely, my being given the opportunity to do this, in Tibet, I sit on a throne, they give me hats and all this, and that's not a problem. And I get to keep my hats, that's kind of cool. I got so many hats, But those hats empower lineages, tens of hundreds of thousands of people in monasteries that are all under this process of going through 20, 30 years of incredible study and meditation to be able to be given a hat, to wear a hat, to represent the puja at that moment, as a very high person of the third initiation, So this goes on. We have this, but we don't have it on the whole earth. We only have it in a small location, in a small group of people who's very much not treated correctly, and that includes me. And it's not negative things I'm saying, but I'm just pointing out the fact that Christ is coming. Christ is the Lord of the world. There are no other teachers. There's only one God. And slowly but surely, this has to be an unconfused situation. Unconfused. So that when I step into a place, it becomes honored. It's no longer imperiled. There's no negative embellishments. No human being could cause harm to another person simply because I am on the throne. And when that time comes, and it hasn't come yet, it's all about time. But when that time comes, your life will be given back to you. And until then, that which you serve is taking your life and your soul, and it's creating chaos in your personality so you don't know what you should be doing. Doesn't matter what it is, what time you get up, what you're doing, you're always in an impression that I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know if I should eat breakfast. I don't know if I should eat lunch. Should I just smoke cigarettes? I don't know what I should do. That's the kind of place you're from. And you're not going to that place, because if you've ever known me, I always know what I'm going to do. There's nothing I can't do. I can fix anything, absolutely anything. So this is a process where we put light into things in order to turn the wheel of dharma. It makes things happen. So I'm going to put this on this time. And I wear it throughout the pujas, the prayer, the puja, until the end of the puja. So just saying that, just so that you have an understanding that this is a pretty big thing, putting this on, it's a big thing, and that its effect for the whole world is a very big thing. So just relax. Don't worry about it's going to affect you in any negative way. But when we get to see this, and humanity has a reaction, a response, that means that the bond, the demons, that are encroaching upon Buddhism and eliminated Christianity and wiped out the soul, for me to put this on, for you to react correctly, that's the only way I can tell the symptom, as to whether or not, and it's the whole world. I can walk in and sit down in the government, in any government, and I will sit down and put this hat on and begin to, yeah, and exchange views, yeah, and change everything, yeah. Because I'm not here to will anything. I'm here to bless and transmit the fixing of everything and how things are governed, whether it be a dark lodge or by the white lodge, yeah. So here we go. Okay, repeat after me. Lord Jesus the Christ,
Lord Jesus the Christ,
thank you for bringing me here.
thank you for bringing me here.
Lord Jesus the Christ,
Lord Jesus the Christ,
I open my heart today.
I open my heart today.
I invite you to come inside.
I invite you to come inside.
Lord Jesus the Christ,
Lord Jesus the Christ,
come and save my life.
come save my life.
Receive me today as a child of God.
Receive me today as a child of God.
Forgive all my sins
Forgive all my sins
and write my name in the book of life.
and write my name in the book of life.
I give myself to you,
I give myself to you,
my spirit,
my spirit,
my soul,
my soul,
my body.
my body.
Receive me, Jesus the Christ.
Receive me, Jesus the Christ.
Now,
Now,
the devil,
the devil,
the blood of Jesus the Christ is against you.
the blood of Jesus the Christ is against you.
I command you now to leave me.
I command you now to leave me.
I do not belong to you.
I do not belong to you.
I am God's property.
I am God's property.
Leave my life.
Leave my life.
I disassociate myself from you.
I disassociate myself from you.
I renounce every evil covenant.
I renounce every evil covenant.
I have entered in with you.
I have entered in with you.
In the name of Jesus the Christ,
In the name of Jesus Christ,
I have received salvation.
I have received salvation.
I am a child of God.
I am a child of God.
Amen.
Let the forces of light bring illumination to mankind. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. May humanity of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of all mankind be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be, and help us do our part.
Take a deep breath.
bring secure to the sons of mankind. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and come say, "Come forth, O Mighty One." Let the souls of mankind awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of the woe has come. Come forth, O Mighty One. The hour of service, of the saving force, has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O Mighty One. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O Mighty One, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. I invoke the archangels of heaven. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of mankind. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of mankind. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, a purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of mankind, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not to hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form, and let life and all events, and bring forth to light the love which underlies the happenings of Let time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavage be gone. Let love prevail. Let all mankind love.
Just stay relaxed. Okay, open your eyes. All right, so we're all in this material world, right? And when I was 9, Tibetans came knocking at my door because obviously I'm not from this material world, and it's not normal for me to be sitting around with people. Yeah, it's much more normal over the last 2,000 years for me to be meditating and teaching masters of wisdom and students who are evolving into that process. And I still do that. Yeah, even though I'm in process of externalizing, I had to go all the way over to the left-hand side and work my way from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Yeah. So I incarnated in a regular person, manifested in a regular family, went through all the process, but I had Tibetans come to my door and ask for me to come back and remind me of where I'm supposed to be going and what I'm supposed to be doing, as part of my work. So I went back to Tibet, and all the tools that you all witness and experience are shared in Tibetan Buddhism. And the children, these kids here that you see in this video, this is either at Maitreya Vihar or Karma Raj. These are the highest monasteries of Tibetan Buddhism in Kathmandu. And I'm the guru. I'm the guy that sponsors everything, feeds everybody, keeps everybody going. And when they die, I bring them back. So now these kids are using my tools, and they love it. All the nuns are getting head pyramids and weavers and vajras and all of that. That's what's going on. So there's an enormous amount of transfiguration. So here you are, you're born in the West. Yeah. And it's, in my truth, I'm sending you someplace else once you leave this body. You're not going to be showing up anytime soon in New York, or anytime soon in a place which is not right for the disciple, for the initiate. And you'll very likely show up in a Tibetan body, and very likely find yourself slowly but surely be the senior group in the world who knows Jesus Christ. He's been helping them all these years. He's been coming to Kathmandu. He's been taking care of us. He's been feeding us. He told us who he was long, long ago. We even came and went and got him when he was a kid. So that's where I'm going to send everybody. And you'll spend your time there, and you'll make it to Drepung. You'll get your degrees. You'll learn everything you're supposed to learn. You'll forget all about this place. And once you've done that just a few times, just a couple of lives, you'll be fostered to externalize into the new group of world servers. And that's where the second and third degree initiates go. That's how you become an awakened first degree initiate, is by these monasteries getting the auspicious reality of my coming and taking care of them and saying, okay, let's find as many children as we can and get them into these monasteries and teach them and let them know I'm here, and let's grow this thing big, which is what we've done. Before, when I went to Karma Raj, they had maybe 30, 40 kids. Now they have hundreds. And before I went to Maitreya Vihar, they maybe had 10 or 15 kids at most. Now they're in the 100, And the monastery is flourishing. Children are growing. And the chances of 20% of these children that are being brought in are tukus. Yeah. And they're directly in connection to the other kids that are brought in, who are their students and other Sangha members, inside the Sangha, inside the Dharma wheel of protection. This is how it works. You may not be interested in joining, but, you're going to be put into it. You're not in charge of life and death. You're not in charge of your reincarnation. Yeah. And what I'm telling you now is the truth, and it's going to happen. Yeah. And it's going to manifest. And you're going to be okay. Yeah. Tibetan Buddhism will no longer have a Dalai Lama, but it will have a Buddha. Yeah. And that will change everything. Because no longer will we be having Taisata Rinpoches and all these other Rinpoches who are assholes and demons who are messing up everything. They will die. And the ones that do reincarnate, and I'm willing to find and bring back into externalization, they will be so blessed by not being under the authority of a false Dalai Lama and people who are in league with that false Dalai Lama. And Dalai Lama doesn't come back anymore. Yeah. So it's one of many places that I'm cleaning up. Yeah. But that's the main place where you're going to show up. If you are a second degree initiate, making it through the first initiation, which is where you're in the West, and you've got to choose from going your left-hand path to the right-hand path, and you have to do it while you're alive in the West. Yeah. And once you've done that, and you've organized yourself, and in the time of your death, you reincarnate and take your second initiation as a tuku, and beginning your established reality. And it'll be 20 or 30 lives after that till you're an awakened tuku in a third initiation, and you'll literally be called a tuku. Yeah. And you'll remember, and others will remember you, and you'll be gathered in the Dharma. Not just the Sangha. The Sangha will be your second initiation, and establishing that second initiation of recapitulation of the law of Sangha. Being able to do what you're supposed to be doing in the Sangha, being a student and practicing. Yeah. Eliminating an enormous amount of impurities because of so much in right relationship to the Guru. Yeah. And that'll clear, you won't be, in this world in the way that you're in this world today. Yeah, because it's like I said, many of these people who step into that, they ascend when they leave their body. Yeah, so imagine what it's like for them when they reincarnate after ascending. They come back with so much purity that they're really capable of changing the world and transmuting the world as a higher third or fourth degree initiate. That makes it possible for the Lord himself to step forward and teach, because there's a protective field of hierarchy manifested in the world. Yeah. And they set up the teaching, they set up the classes, they orient humanity to receive the teacher. And it's not a guru thing. Yeah. It's a normal thing, very normal. Yeah. Because when these people are at the light in the third initiation, the guru turns into golden white light. And you pretty much have to close your eyes, because it's too much. Yeah. And it all comes through transmission. Yeah. And a lot of things happen. Things fall out of the sky just by the guru walking on stage. Yeah. Flowers fall out of the sky. Yeah. Flowers grow from the ground just because the guru is teaching. It happens to me all the time. I went to Karnang, and it had dead flowers, and it didn't have anything going on. When I went there, got on a horse, and they rode us around, flowers came out of the ground all over the place. And they were shocked. Says, wow, you never had it like this. This is so beautiful. What a day, And that was just the beginning of a process of externalization. At the very lowest end, way back there, way over to the left. Yeah, because those people, that Rinpoche was not a good guy. Yeah. But nevertheless, the land was holy. Yeah. The influence of me being able to come there and do what I needed to do. So this is where everybody, everything is going to move in that direction. China will change. China will become Buddhist. Democracy. Ding, ding. Yeah. Yeah. The whole world's going to move in that direction. Yeah. But we will come out of it. Yeah. And the practices of Chinese Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, Buddhism itself is the way to harness the power of your body, to harness the power of chi, to harness the power of your soul. Yeah? It's the way. Yeah? It's all over in history. In every way, Shaolin is a real good description of such things. Yeah? So just imagine that's what you spend your time in your second initiation doing, is mastering mind and body and spirit, facilitating the package of the soul, creating masterfulness, yeah, manifesting from second initiation to the third initiation and on. Yeah. All right. So enjoy. Thank you all very much.